Welcome to Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN for the best in Saturday Talk Radio at 1 o'clock and on 1230 KGEO at 10 o'clock Saturday, and for the best in Wednesday Talk Radio on 1410 AM KERI, and now on 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Your host is Clay Koerner, and I'm Marty Pay, and behind the big board is the producer, Greg Held. Hey, Clay, that was a great show last week with Ken and Johnny Erickson Tata.
Well, I wasn't here, but I heard the show, and it really sounded great.
Good. You did like it,
I listened to it twice, as a matter of fact.
Did you really?
Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it?
You didn't catch it the first time, so you kind of had to listen to the second time?
Well, I caught pieces of it on Saturday.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you catch the segment we did with Bob Bell and Kathy Butler?
I did. I was a little discouraged about that one.
Why? How
well,
come?
Some negative comments were made about your partner here.
About you?
Yes.
What negative comment?
Well, listen to the show.
Well, I mean, all I said was that, they were taking applications for Man of the Month, and I said that since you've been around since the beginning of the, Downtown Business Association 60 years ago, you'd be a likely candidate.
Well, but that isn't totally true.
You weren't around the last 60 years?
Not here.
Not here?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not here.
Okay. Well, in the first half, we did have Kathy Butler and Bob Bell, and that was a exciting show. There's a lot of great things going on in Kern County right now.
There are.
But today we have a great show. In the second half, we have Lenora McClellan talking about her new books. But now in studio, we have one of my favorite politicians, our own Assemblywoman, Shannon Grove. Shannon, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah, welcome back, Shannon.
Thanks, Clay.
I'm sure that you're anxious to get back to that den of thieves.
Ooh. The state of California is safe so far right now because we don't go back into session until January 6th.
Yeah, that's why you're
safe. So we have a little bit of break where people are safe, and the bill mill will not be turning out any more bills on the governor's desk because we are safe until January 6th.
Well, it's unfortunate, but I think the governor signed several bills just this past week. Some of them are really going to hurt the community.
He did sign several bills, and some of them are going to hurt the community, and some of them are going to hurt business. And he has till October 13th to sign the gun legislation bills. He will either veto them or not sign them, and they'll go into law just because he didn't take action on them.
And talk about the gun bill for a second. What is it?
There's several gun bills on his desk right now, and he has till October 13th to sign those gun bills. And if he chooses not to, you and I live in a world where truth is what we consider truth, like the average person does. In Sacramento, we're a political world, truth is based on who's speaking the truth. And so basically what Governor Brown can do is not sign these bills, and then he can go around touting that he didn't, he never signed a piece of legislation that limited our Second Amendment rights. But if he doesn't veto them, they will go straight into action just based on the legislation, the way it's written after October 13th.
Now, I remember in the last election, a lot of the gun people liked Jerry Brown because they thought he was friendly to gun owners, but he's not really, is he?
Well, they're all on his desk. He has not vetoed any of them yet, and he has not signed any of them yet. But like I said, if October 13th rolls around and he hasn't signed any, they'll automatically become law, and he will be able to continue to tout the fact that he did not sign any anti-gun legislation,
right,
which he did not. But because he did not veto them, they still became law.
So he looks good to both sides.
Yes.
Great politician.
That's truth in Sacramento.
That's the way to do politics.
Yeah, and you and I would say truth is he didn't support our Second Amendment rights.
Right, exactly. Now, you posted on Facebook an interesting article from the Sacramento Bee talking about the deficit for state and local government is going to be over $443 billion.
I did, and I've been saying that ever since realignment in my first session. This is my second session, and as a freshman, when they passed realignment on a party line vote to shift all the cost and burden down to our local local agencies like our county supervisors and city councils, and then they washed their hands of it from a state level and basically said, now we're debt free in this area and we have a surplus. I really don't think that you can calculate the state's debt without incorporating every city and county debt as well, or income, if they have income, because this realignment really, in simpler terms, it was like the parents buying a huge house and then shifting the cost to their minor children, and then those children bear that burden now, but now the parents can say, I'm debt free. It's still household bills.
Sure. Any way you cut it.
Yeah, any way you cut it. From a business standpoint, I have a corporate office, and then I have 5 outlining offices. I can't shift the debt to my outlining offices and say my corporation is debt-free. It doesn't work. So California is in drastic debt. The auditor just came out, our state auditor just came out with an audit Even CalSTRS, $64 billion, billion with a B.
Ow.
CalSTRS, and that doesn't include the health benefits, the health and welfare issues. And so that's a huge issue. And I know you guys are into finance, but my pension or my retirement program in our contracts, if it's not 80% funded, the state can come in and take it over. The CalSTRS program is 67% funded, and who's taking over the state program to make it viable?
Well, won't the U.S. government guarantee it?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, Clay.
Even if they said they would, I don't know how they could do it either because they're broke. We're dealing with situations where they're funding government at a piece at a time, which I think is actually a brilliant tactic. But, we have issues on the federal government side. And that's like people, when they pass legislation up in Sacramento, like the food stamp bill, for instance. California isn't participating enough in CalFresh or the food stamp bill, so they're allowing a bill to go through that self-certifies. So you can walk in and go, I need to self-certify for 5 kids and get your food stamps or your CalFresh benefits. But, they look at it and they say it doesn't cost the state any money. It comes from the federal government. I'm sorry, I'm a federal taxpayer too. Mm-hmm. And to allow people to self-certify for food stamps or CalFresh program is absurd. Well, that goes even now into the Covered California program where individuals can sign up for this new health care program and they can just say how much they make so that they can get a tax subsidy.
It's all just based on self-identification.
It's like when we had the housing market, the crash there. You can just declare your income, whether you made the money or not, and get financed.
Exactly. And that's where we are with this, this Covered California program, or Obamacare. It's exactly, you go online, we looked at the programs, and we could get online because there was a lot of glitches yesterday. But when you could get online, you went online and you looked, and you do self-certify your income level and self-certify your dependents and self-certify all your information.
Our in-studio guest, Assemblywoman Shannon Grove.
I think the biggest question I have about this Covered California program is where are the dollars going to come from to pay all the expenses for the premiums that have to be bore by the government in Covered California?
It's going to come from taxpayers. There's no other alternative. It's got to come from taxpayers. And that's a struggle, just like, Prop 30 was supposed to guarantee, education funding, but yet Prop 30 funds are being used for other programs. And so it's going to have to come from taxpayers. Jobs are leaving the state. Our jobs issues, jobs are down. So it can't come from additional revenues because of people being employed. So it's going to have to come from taxpayers if the Democrats are still in control.
Well, you talk about jobs being down. This Covered California, or Obamacare as they call it, is a job killer. More and more companies are terminating benefits. More and more companies are reducing hours. More and more companies are just getting out of supplying benefits for their employees.
They are. A lot of companies are. I've heard a lot of individual companies are reducing hours to less than 29 hours a week, and so people are going to be out there with two part-time jobs in order to fulfill their 40 hours a week.
If they can get two part-time
if they
jobs.
can.
But even at 29 hours, they're close to being full-time, where I'm recommending to my clients that they drop it down to 20 hours.
Are you 20 hours?
Ooh, nice guy you are.
Well, I mean, I have to protect the employer also.
Well, sure you do.
And then what you do is you have two employers get together, and they each give the employee 20 hours. So they got a full-time job, and then they qualify to go to the exchange and get the tax subsidy that we all want to pay for.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a disaster.
Oh, yeah, anyway, we cut it. Shannon, the one thing that just blows my mind is I look at $443 billion. I mean, that's not a small number. I mean, assuming, God willing, all of a sudden tomorrow morning we wake up and we've got a Republican Congress, or, Sacramento's turned totally, can we even get out of a $443 $443 billion debt.
How
do we get out of that?
And what's really worse about that number is in business, we look at our profit and loss statement when we look at our balance sheets, and we have our long-term liability and our long-term debt is there as well. That $443 billion doesn't include health and welfare benefits that are still owed. It includes what the estimated pension costs are, but the pension costs that are in this $443 billion are based on CalSTRS estimates for their investment returns, which are high.
They're projecting 8%, aren't
8%,
they? Yeah.
And I don't know anybody in the stock market that's bringing back 8% on their money. So if you give a realistic investment on the return on their money, then it would be even higher than that. Mm-hmm. So all of that is prepaid or estimated out, but benefits are not prepaid. So health and welfare benefits will just be paid when they're due.
Right.
So that doesn't include everybody's health insurance and benefits that will be taken care of after the retirement.
So where are they investing to get 8%?
They're not investing to get 8%.
Well, that's just a fantasy
It's
number.
just a number. It's an actuarial number that CalSTRS throws out that says, we're not that much in the hole because we estimate we're getting 8%. But they're not getting 8%.
Well, and they're also estimating increase in jobs. And I think one of the reasons they wanted to increase the minimum wage is to increase the tax base.
Absolutely, and it's all tied to wages. When you look at like IHSS employees and you look at all the SEIU or state employees, so state employees, it all falls back to I think it's political corruption. I really do. I think when a supermajority is in power and that power continually passes legislation that gives them a benefit for political capital in their races, like the minimum wage, they get 3% of all those employees' wages, whether it's $8 or $10. If they pass a law that increases the minimum wage up to $10 and SEIU employees, the state employees get that rate increase, then the political capital is 3% of $10 per employee versus 3% of $8. They passed a bill, SB 25, which was mandatory mediation between the ALRB, the Agricultural Labor Relations Board. They went after and targeted an employer, a farmer just up the road from us that has 5,000 employees. Now, this farmer pays between $10 and $18 an hour. 10 is a floor. They get $15 an hour as a medium income, on an average income. The farmer pays for all of the employees' children to go to private Catholic school. They get retirement and benefits. What is the union going to do for these employees? Absolutely nothing. But the legislature mandates that they're going to go into this negotiation with the ALRB and they're going to get 3% of all those employees' wages. Well, it's between a $50 and $100 million a year payroll depending on the season. And so 3% of that is a substantial number that can go back to the UFW.
When we get back from the break, let's talk a little about the minimum wage, okay?
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.